When I crossed 60, I started forgetting simple things. Where I left my keys, why I walked into a room, or even names of people I just met. I was scared. I thought this was the beginning of mental decline. But then I discovered three powerful secrets that didn't just protect my mind. They actually made it stronger. And now, I'm sharper, calmer, and more focused than I was 10 years ago. Let me show you exactly how I did it. The wake-up call. When I knew my mind needed help. I used to think memory loss and mental decline were just part of growing old. You hit 60, then 65, and suddenly it's normal to forget names, lose your train of thought mid-sentence, or wander into a room with no idea why you went in there. It's even joked about senior moments, they call it. And for a while, I laughed it off too. But then, something happened that I couldn't laugh off. One morning, I woke up early to water my plants like I usually do. I walked out to the kitchen, filled my little green watering can, and headed to the backyard. As I stood there looking at the flower bed, I froze. I couldn't remember which plants I had already watered, so I started over. Then, halfway through, I realized I'd watered the same row 3 times. That may not sound like much, but to me, it was terrifying. It wasn't just the watering, it was the fog. I felt like my brain wasn't fully there, like I was running on autopilot, disconnected from the moment. I sat down on the porch that day, watering can still in hand, and whispered to myself, something's wrong. The little signs I had been ignoring. Looking back, that morning wasn't the first sign. There had been plenty, only I hadn't paid attention. I had started misplacing things more often. Glasses, keys, even my phone. I would set them down and forget within seconds where they were. I chalked it up to distraction or being busy, but deep down, I was worried. I also noticed I was zoning out in conversations. Someone would be telling me a story, and my mind would drift. Not to anything specific, just blank space. I'd come back a few seconds later, smile and nod, pretending I had heard everything, and reading. Reading used to be my favorite thing. But I had stopped halfway through more books than I could count. I couldn't focus. I'd read a page, turn it, and realize I had no idea what I'd just read. Still, I kept telling myself, it's normal. Everyone gets slower with age. Until that morning in the garden. That was the moment I stopped making excuses. That was the moment I decided I wasn't going to let my mind slowly slip away without a fight. I was afraid, but determined. I'll be honest with you. I was afraid. I'd seen people in my family suffer from cognitive decline. My uncle had Alzheimer's. My aunt had early-onset dementia. I knew what it looked like. And while what I was experiencing wasn't that severe, it felt like I was heading down the same road. But fear is a powerful thing. It can paralyze you, or it can wake you up. I chose to let it wake me up. I went inside that morning and started writing down everything I had noticed, every mental slip, every moment of fog, every change in my habits. I wasn't trying to scare myself. I just wanted to be honest, to stop pretending. And once I saw it all on paper, I made myself a promise. I was going to fight for my mind. I started asking the right questions. The first question I asked myself was, is this really just age, or is there something I can change? Because, here's the thing, they tell us that brain decline is inevitable. But is it really? Or is it possible that we're just not giving our minds what they need? I started digging, reading articles, watching interviews with neurologists, listening to podcasts from doctors who specialize in aging brains. I took notes, I asked questions, and what I discovered shocked me. I learned that the brain is incredibly adaptable, even in old age. It can form new connections, create new pathways, and even regenerate cells. But only if you give it the right environment. Most of us aren't doing that. We're letting our minds atrophy. We don't challenge them. We don't nourish them. We don't engage with them. We just wait for decline. and then act surprised when it comes. That realization made me sit up straight, literally, and it led me to three powerful secrets that changed everything. The turning point wasn't dramatic, but it was real. People expect turning points to be big moments like in the movies. But for me, it was small. I sat in my living room one evening with a cup of tea, and instead of turning on the TV like usual, I just sat in silence. I closed my eyes. I focused on my breath. I started asking myself questions, not out loud, but quietly. What did I do today? What made me smile? What's one thing I learned? What's something I want to remember tomorrow? That night, for the first time in months, I felt present. I felt like I was having a real conversation with myself, not just reacting to the world, but engaging with it. It sounds simple, maybe even silly, but that moment was the beginning of a new relationship with my own mind. I realized my mind wasn't dying, it was starving. That was the truth. My mind hadn't given up on me. I had given up on it. I was feeding my body but starving my brain. I was going through the motions, checking boxes, watching TV, and scrolling through my phone. But I wasn't giving my mind any real stimulation, any real challenges, or any real care. And once I understood that, I knew exactly what I needed to do. I didn't need pills. I didn't need to accept decline. I just needed to start feeding my mind the way I used to when I was younger, when I was curious, creative, and engaged. And that's what led me to the three powerful secrets I'm about to share with you in the next sections. They're not complicated. They're not expensive, and they don't involve any apps, supplements, or miracle cures. They're small, intentional changes I made that helped me regain focus, clarity, and joy, and even improved my memory. So, what happens next? In the next part, I'll show you secret number 1, a 20-minute daily habit that reactivated parts of my brain I hadn't used in years. It's so simple, you might overlook it. But trust me, it was a game changer. Stay with me. This journey gets better. Secret number 1, the 20-minute habit that rewired. My brain, I never imagined that something as simple as 20 quiet minutes a day would completely reshape how my mind functioned. It didn't involve technology, expensive gadgets, or even going to the gym. It was just me, a notebook, and a little time. Let me tell you how it started, and why this one habit was the foundation of my mental transformation. The day I turned off the noise. After my wake-up call, I was determined to rebuild my mind. But I wasn't sure where to begin, so I made a small but powerful decision. I turned everything off. No TV, no music, no phone, no background noise, just silence. At first, it was uncomfortable. I sat there in my living room, the clock ticking louder than usual, the sounds of the street creeping through the window. My thoughts were all over the place. But that's exactly why I needed it. I had spent years filling every gap in my day with distraction, scrolling through my phone, listening to the news, jumping from one task to the next. My brain never had a moment to rest or reflect. I was consuming constantly, but not creating, not thinking deeply. So I committed. Every morning, before doing anything else, I would give myself 20 minutes of complete mental presence. What I did. During those 20 minutes at first, I simply sat in silence. No agenda, no expectation, just breathing and listening. To my thoughts, to my surroundings, to the quiet hum of life. After a few days, I added a notebook to the mix. I began to write. Nothing structured, just thoughts, feelings, memories, even random words. I called it my mental warm-up. Some days I wrote about dreams. Some days I listed things I was grateful for. Some days I asked myself questions like, what do I want to learn today? What's something I haven't thought about in a while? What made me feel alive yesterday? This wasn't journaling in the traditional sense, it was brain exercise. It was me choosing to connect with my thoughts instead of letting them run wild. Why this simple practice? Worked now, you might be thinking, how does sitting and writing for 20 minutes help the brain? Here's what I learned from neuroscientists and psychologists and what I experienced myself. It activates the prefrontal cortex. This part of the brain is responsible for planning, reasoning, decision-making, and problem-solving. Engaging it every day keeps it strong. It builds neural connections. When you reflect, recall memories, and form new thoughts, your brain creates new pathways. This is called neuroplasticity, and it continues even in old age. It reduces mental clutter. Think of it like emptying a trash can. When you process your thoughts on paper, your brain becomes clearer, calmer, and more focused throughout the day. What I noticed after 2 weeks, the changes didn't happen overnight, but after about 2 weeks, I began to feel a difference. I was remembering things more easily, people's names, little details from conversations, even grocery lists. I was more focused. I could read a chapter of a book without drifting off. I felt calmer, less anxious, more anchored in my day. And the best part? I began having new ideas again. Not just remembering, but creating. Ideas for my garden, for hobbies. I wanted to try. Even ways to connect with my grandchildren. My mind wasn't just working again. It was alive. How you can start this habit. Today, you don't need anything fancy. Here's what I recommend. Pick a time. Morning is best, before the day's noise begins. Use a dedicated notebook. Make it your mental gym. Set a timer for 20 minutes. Don't rush. Let the time guide you. Write freely. Don't edit. Don't worry about spelling. Just let your thoughts flow. If you don't want to write, sit in silence. Breathe. Reflect. That's just as powerful. What matters is consistency. Do it every day, even if you don't feel like it. The magic isn't in what you write. The magic is in showing up for your mind. Bonus. Tip. Give your mind a theme. On days when I felt stuck, I gave myself a theme. Some of my favorites. A memory I want to keep forever. Something I regret and what I learned. The happiest moment of last year. What aging has taught me, these themes helped unlock deeper parts of my memory and emotion. They weren't just writing prompts. They were mental workouts. This 20-minute habit became sacred to me. I've done this every morning for the past year. I haven't missed a single day. It's become the anchor of my morning, the way some people can't start their day without coffee. For me, this practice is more powerful than caffeine. It wakes up my soul. Some mornings I cry. Some mornings I laugh. But every morning I feel stronger, because I'm not letting my mind drift into decline. I'm steering it, strengthening it, honoring it. And that's something no age can take away. The unexpected side effect. Emotional healing. What surprised me most was how this habit healed old emotional wounds. When you sit quietly with yourself, things come up, memories you buried, fears you ignored. But instead of running from them, you face them with the wisdom age has given you, and in doing that, you not only strengthen your mind, you also soften your heart. I found peace in ways I didn't expect. What's next? Secret number 2 in. The next section, I'll tell you about something that sounds silly, but changed everything. Talking to myself, out loud, on purpose. Yes, really. It may sound odd, but there's powerful science behind it, and I'll show you how it boosted my memory, my confidence, and even my emotional strength. Stick with me. The second secret will surprise you. Secret number 2, the surprising power of talking to myself. I used to think that talking to yourself was a sign of losing your mind. I'd see someone muttering under their breath and think, poor soul, they must be slipping. Little did I know, years later, I'd become that person, and not because I was losing my mind, but because I was strengthening it. Yes, I talk to myself, out loud, on purpose, and now I can't imagine a day without it. The first time I tried. It had started as a joke, really. I was in the kitchen trying to remember what I had come in there for. I stood still, hands on my hips, and said out loud, "Okay, brain, work with me here. What did we come in here for?" My wife, who was sitting in the next room, laughed. "You talking to yourself again?" I laughed too. But then something interesting happened. By saying it out loud, I suddenly remembered. I had come in for the tea strainer. It was like speaking the thought triggered a connection that had been lost in the fog. That's when I began to wonder. Could talking to myself actually help my brain function better? Turns out science agrees. I started reading up on the psychology behind self-talk, and what I discovered amazed me. Researchers call it external self-directed speech. It's been studied in children, athletes, and even the elderly, and the results are consistent. Speaking your thoughts aloud improves memory, attention, and task performance. Here's why. It engages multiple parts of the brain. When you speak out loud, you're activating not just the language centers of the brain, but also auditory and motor functions. That multiplies mental engagement. It makes thoughts more real and organized. When thoughts stay in your head, they're fleeting. But when you say them out loud, you're forced to form full sentences, organize ideas, and clarify your thinking. It helps with focus and problem solving. Athletes do this all the time. Okay, breathe, focus, step left, swing. That same principle applies to daily life. Self-talk keeps you sharp. How I made it a daily habit. At first, I felt silly. I'd whisper to myself in the kitchen or in front of the mirror. But then I stopped caring. Now I talk to myself throughout the day, and I've even built intentional routines around it. Here's how. Morning pep talk, 3 to 5 minutes. After I finish my 20-minute mental warm-up from secret number 1, I look in the mirror and say something like, "You're still growing. Still learning. Let's make today meaningful. Don't rush. Be present. You've got this." It sets the tone for the day. I treat myself like a friend, with encouragement instead of criticism. Task-by-task instructions. When I'm cooking, cleaning, or even making a grocery list, I say my steps out loud. First the onions, then the garlic. Don't forget the lentils. Keys, wallet, glasses, done. Okay, now check the mailbox before tea. It keeps me focused and reduces mistakes. It's like giving myself real-time instructions. Evening reflection 80, night. I sometimes sit quietly and say out loud, "What went well today? What made me smile? Is there anything I wish I had done differently?" It's a calming way to review the day and promote memory retention, because speaking something aloud helps it stick. How it changed my mental strength. You'd be surprised how powerful it feels to hear your own voice saying something positive. It's not just thinking good thoughts, it's speaking truth to yourself. I noticed better focus throughout the day, more confidence in social situations, less anxiety because I could calm myself down verbally, improved memory, especially when saying names or lists aloud, and the biggest thing, self-trust. I began to rely on myself in a new way. I didn't need reminders on my phone as often. I didn't panic when I forgot something, because I'd built a habit of calmly talking myself through it. Practical ways you can start self-talking. Here are some easy entry points if you want to try this. 1. Narrate simple tasks as you get. Dressed, walk through the steps. Shirt first, then socks, now check for my wallet. 2. Set verbal intentions, say out loud, "Today I will stay present. I'm going to enjoy cooking lunch. This walk is for my peace of mind." 3. Interrupt negative thoughts when you catch yourself thinking, "I'm losing." Say aloud, "No, I'm just tired. I'm still capable. I'll take a break and come back fresh." This shifts your brain from emotion to rational self-support. 4. Repeat names and info. When someone tells you their name, repeat it out loud. Nice to meet you, Sarah. When you read something important, say it. So the key nutrient is omega-3. Got it. You're not crazy. You're connected. Let's clear this up once and for all. Talking to yourself doesn't mean you're losing your mind. In fact, most successful people do it. Athletes, actors, CEOs. Why? Because the human brain is wired to respond to language. When you speak, your brain listens. It records. It engages. So don't be ashamed of it. Be proud. You're building something. You're strengthening your connection with your inner self. And that's one of the most powerful things you can do as you age. A personal story. The grocery aisle. Let me share a quick story that made me realize how far I had come. A few months after I started this habit, I was walking through the grocery store trying to remember 5 items: eggs, milk, bananas, oats, and tea. I could have written them down, but I didn't. Instead, I said aloud, softly to myself, eggs, milk, bananas, oats, tea. As I walked through the aisles, I repeated the list to myself like a little chant. And guess what? I remembered every item. No phone, no paper, no panic, just me, my voice, and my mind working together. That moment may seem small, but for me, it was huge. It proved that age doesn't mean weakness. It means we need new tools, new habits, and new ways to engage our brains. What's coming next? Secret. 3. If you've stuck with me this far, thank you. I hope you're already feeling empowered to take control of your mental strength. In the next section, I'm going to reveal something that might surprise you even more. What I stopped consuming, and how removing it from my life made my brain sharper than ever. This one isn't easy, but it's necessary. Trust me, it changed everything. Secret number 3. What I stopped consuming and why my mind thanked me. Let me be honest with you. This one was tough. It wasn't about adding a new habit or trying a clever trick. This was about taking something away, something I'd been addicted to for years. And I didn't even realize how much it was draining my mind until I finally let it go. What did I stop consuming? Constant negative news and social media. It sounds simple. But this decision was one of the biggest turning points in restoring strength to my aging mind. And here's why. I didn't think it was a problem. Until it was, every morning, I used to start my day by checking my phone. News headlines, scrolling, videos, updates, politics, conflict, tragedies. A lot of noise, none of it helpful. It felt like I was staying informed. But what I was really doing was feeding my mind a steady diet of anxiety. Even when I wasn't holding my phone, my thoughts were running, what if that happens here? That's awful. What kind of world are we living in? I can't believe people are like that. And just like that, I'd be in a bad mood before even drinking my morning tea. I noticed my memory getting cloudier, my focus slipping, my motivation going down. I blamed age, of course, but deep down, I knew better. The turning point one morning, I looked in the mirror and saw my own tired eyes, and I didn't like what I saw. Not just physically tired, but mentally and emotionally. Drained, I said out loud. Remember secret number 2? This isn't who you want to be today. That was the day I challenged myself. What if I go 1 week without negative news or social media? No scrolling, no late-night headlines, no political rants, no arguing with strangers in comment sections. Just silence. The first 3 days were rough, let me be real with you. I didn't realize how hooked I was until I tried to quit. My hands kept reaching for the phone without thinking. I felt FOMO, fear of missing out. I was convinced I'd be disconnected from the world, but after a few days, something miraculous began to happen. My thoughts slowed down, my anxiety dropped. I felt lighter. I started noticing things around me, the chirping birds, the warmth, of sunlight, the way my tea tasted. For the first time in years, I was truly present. Why negative input weakens the mind. Here's the science behind what I experienced. Cognitive overload. The brain can only process so much at once. Constantly bombarding it with information, especially fear-driven or angry content, leads to mental fatigue. Emotional hijacking. Negative news triggers the amygdala, the fear center of the brain. This keeps you in a state of alertness and stress, which kills focus and memory. Reduced attention. Spam social media trains the brain to crave quick rewards, likes, shares, comments. That's the opposite of deep focus and long-term thinking. As we get older, our brains need clarity, not chaos. Stillness, not stimulation. Wisdom, not worry. And that's why I knew I had to protect my mental environment. What I did instead, what replaced the hours I used to spend scrolling or watching news? Here's what filled that mental space and made me feel stronger than I had in years. Intentional reading. I chose books that fed my curiosity, biographies, spiritual texts, and even some light fiction. Reading deeply reawakened parts of my brain that had gone numb. Quiet. Walks without my phone. I took walks where I just listened to nature or reflected on the day. That quiet time became a form of moving meditation. Simple puzzles and memory games, crosswords, Sudoku, matching cards. Nothing fancy, but each one kept my brain engaged and refreshed. Writing letters and notes. Instead of posting online, I started writing notes to friends or even letters to myself. That kind of reflection is food for the soul. The 3 filters I use before consuming anything. Now, I didn't cut off all media forever, but I became ruthless about what I allowed into my mind. Now, I ask myself 3 questions before I read or watch something. Is this helpful or just noisy? Will this inspire me or drain me? Would I still want this in my mind tomorrow morning? If the answer is no to any of those, I skip it. Simple as that. I treat my mind like a garden now. I don't throw garbage into it. Results I never expected. Within a month of changing my information diet, I noticed profound changes. My sleep improved. I wasn't lying awake replaying headlines. My memory sharpened. I could recall conversations, appointments, even small details. My patience increased. I didn't snap or spiral as easily. My peace of mind returned. Most importantly, I felt in control again. I realized that while I can't change the whole world, I can change what I let in. That's not avoidance. That's wisdom. People around me noticed. My wife said, "You seem lighter these days." My grandson said, "You're more fun lately." A friend asked, "Did you start taking something?" No, I didn't take a pill. I just stopped feeding my brain the poison of negativity and started giving it the nourishment of calm, creativity, and presence. How you can try this. 2, you don't have to disappear from the world. But I encourage you to try this 3-step plan for 7 days. 1. Delete or hide social media apps, even if it's temporary. Clear your space. 2. Avoid TV or online news. Ask a family member to update you only if something truly important happens. 3. Replace it with something positive. Choose a podcast, a playlist, a book, or a walk. Make a list of mindful replacements. Then notice how you feel. Really feel. This one choice strengthened my mind like nothing else. Of all the things I've done, mental exercises, supplements, routines, this one made the most immediate impact. It didn't require a dime. Just a decision, just intention. You can't plant seeds in soil that's already full of weeds. Clear the space, then watch your mind bloom again. Coming up, next, final reflection and longevity. insight. We've reached the last step in this journey. In the final section, I'll tie everything together and share one truth I've come to believe with all my heart, that it's never too late to rebuild your mind, and that growing older doesn't mean fading, it means becoming more. Let's end this journey strong, putting it all together. Why a stronger mind is your greatest legacy. I've taken you through 3 of the most powerful changes I've made in my later years. 3 secrets that have reawakened my mind, my confidence, and my sense of purpose. But now, I want to bring it all together, because the truth is, these aren't just habits. They're a way of life, a mindset, a new chapter that started the moment I realized it's never too late to grow stronger, and more importantly, it's never too late to leave behind a legacy that matters. Let me tell you what I mean. I used to think mental strength was for the young. I used to look at people in their 20s and 30s with a hint of envy. Quick minds, fast reflexes, endless energy. I thought, that ship has sailed for me. I had accepted the lie so many of us do, that aging means shrinking, shrinking memories, shrinking influence, shrinking worth. But then something changed. I started reflecting not on what I had lost, but on what I still had, and what I could build. Through small daily steps, like my morning brain warm-ups, speaking kindly to myself and cutting out mental poison, I discovered a truth most people never realize. Mental strength in old age is not about being fast. It's about being wise, and wisdom, my friend, is far more powerful than speed. How all the secrets work together. Let's take a quick look at how the 3 secrets I've shared form a complete picture. Secret number 1, my morning brain routine. This got me moving, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. It became the anchor of my day. Instead of drifting, I had purpose from the moment I woke up. Secret number 2, talking to myself. This gave me clarity, confidence, focus. I stopped being my own worst critic and became my greatest coach. Secret number 3, what I stopped consuming this. Created space, stillness, peace. My mind stopped spinning and started healing. Together, these 3 shifts rewired how I saw myself and how I saw the world. And I'll tell you this, I don't feel old anymore. I feel alive, engaged, sharpened, reborn. What mental strength really means. After 60 for me, mental strength in older age isn't about solving math problems or remembering names perfectly. It's about being present, in the moment instead of stuck in worry, making decisions with clarity, not confusion, handling setbacks without panic, continuing to grow, learn, and adapt. Staying hopeful, even when the world seems dark. It's not just about what you can recall, it's about how you respond. That's the true measure of a strong mind. Your mind is the legacy you leave behind. When I was younger, I used to think legacy meant money, property, or achievements. But the older I get, the more I realize. Your legacy is your mindset. It's the way you treat people, the stories you tell, the calm you carry. It's how your grandchildren remember your wisdom, not your wallet. A sharp mind doesn't just serve you. It serves the people you love. When your children see that you're still growing, still learning, still leading, they feel inspired. When your friends see you adapting with grace, they feel hopeful. When you model peace, presence, and purpose, you teach by example. And that's a legacy no amount of money can match. What I tell every senior who feels like it's too late. Let me say this from the heart. If you're watching this and thinking, that sounds great, but I'm too far gone. I've already slowed down. My memory isn't what it used to be. I've been there. I understand. But I'm living proof that change is still possible. You don't have to fix everything overnight. Just pick one small shift. Wake up a little earlier, speak one kind word to yourself, or take one walk without your phone. Small actions lead to deep transformation, especially when you repeat them with love. Start where you are, with what you have. You don't need a gym membership or a fancy supplement. You don't need to be tech-savvy or perfectly disciplined. All you need is willingness. Willingness to try something new. Willingness to believe in your brain again. Willingness to choose growth over decline. That alone sets you apart from 90% of people your age. And once you begin, you'll be amazed at how quickly momentum builds. Let me share one final story. A few months ago, my youngest granddaughter came to visit. She's 12, full of energy and questions. She looked at me and said, "Grandpa, how do you remember so much? You always tell the best stories." I smiled, paused, and said, "Because I practice using my mind every day. It's a gift. I take care of it." She gave me the biggest hug and said, "I want to be like you when I'm old." That moment broke me, in the best way, because it reminded me why all of this matters. Not just for me, but for them. We don't just grow strong minds for ourselves. We do it to light the path for others. Final call to action. Your turn to take the first step. So, my friend, if this message touched you, don't just let it pass, do something with it. Here's a simple 3-day starter plan. Day 1, try the morning. Routine, stretch, breathe, reflect. Write one kind sentence about yourself. Day 2, choose one moment to talk to yourself out loud, either to solve a task or encourage yourself. Day 3, take a no negativity challenge. No news, no social scrolls. Replace it with a positive input. Music, reading, or a peaceful walk. That's it. Just 3 days. Then watch how your mind begins to open again. Let's keep growing, together. If you found value in this journey, I'd love for you to leave a comment sharing your favorite takeaway. Better yet, share this video with someone you love, someone who may have forgotten how powerful they still are. Remember, you're not alone. You're not finished, and you're not too old. You are a living story, still being written, still being shaped, still capable of greatness. Your strongest days may still be ahead.